Yeah, what's up? What's good? What is happening? Welcome to the King and Me show. I'm one half of this thing, King.
Hey y'all, it's me, Michelle. How y'all doing?
And we live on this Monday, September the 30th, the last Monday of the month. And the King and Me show is a live stream in which Michelle and I offer a real outlook on a healthy relationship. Real being relatable,
entertaining,
accountable,
and loving.
Let's get the elephant out the room. We went live last week. And if I had a soundboard, I would play the bump, bump, ba-dum, bum, as it was all my fault. Full confession on everything.
Okay.
That whole episode is gone. It is in the ethers. It is lost somewhere in Al Gore's internet, never to be played again or ever. So, with that being said,
Wait. Flag on the play like it's a Ravens game. What do you mean? What happened to it?
What had happened was...
Oh, goodness.
I don't know. In the process of me being upset at myself about trying to fix some stuff, I started deleting things because I was like, you have really good file organization and stuff.
Because I have OCD.
I don't. So I deleted a lot of different things, stuff from like stuff when I first got this laptop and that I have no need for. And I deleted it, deleted it. After I was having issues. So not before. That's not the reason. The reason why I was having issues. And then I deleted the file. So we don't have it.
It was such a good episode.
It was, but they won't know that.
But I do. My heart aches and mourns the loss of such a wonderful... Oh, look, there's a tear. There's a tear.
First of all, we'd like to thank y'all for joining us. We're streaming on multiple platforms under the King M.E, as well as the homie Perry Productions, who I was just down in Atlanta with for a couple of days. Him and I linked up. We went to a Falcons game, tried to go to a Braves game, but Hurricane, what is it? Helene. Hurricane Helene had other thoughts about us trying to make that. But overall, it was a good time. So I want to salute the homie Perry Productions and say thanks for letting us use his platform. And it was good to link up with him. Him and I took care of some business. Went out to a couple of different places, saw some amazing singers actually down in Atlanta. Atlanta got talent. And I made it back in one piece. We should move there.
Negative.
As the man in this household, if I say we moving to Atlanta, the STD capital of the U.S.
The world?
Of the world? No.
I believe
it can't be the world.
I believe it's the world. Hold on, let me go see what Google has to say.
While you look that up, we have a couple of different things that we're talking about today. The title of our live stream today is The Wastelands of Dating, right?
Okay, you're right. It's not of the world, but it does have a high STD rate.
Ooh, okay. Do you know what the capital of the world is?
I don't know. I don't want to go there either.
Why not?
I don't know.
Why they got Mississippi on there too?
Mississippi has the highest STD rate in the U.S. in the United States. Louisiana, Alaska. Y'all should be doing
Because
other
they
things.
don't do nothing in Alaska. What is there to do in Alaska?
I don't
Besides
know.
fish, go to hot springs, and sleep with everybody because you just want to be different.
Note to self: places I shan't live.
But the South seems to reign.
Because apparently y'all ain't got nothing else to do in the South. Y'all need to move to the city, like the rural city, the North.
No. But okay.
Include incarceration rates, military bases.
Oh, yeah.
And the number of residents without health insurance. So that's why it's the South.
Oh, okay. Coincidentally, also places where relationships just seem to be
transactional
and trash. I mean, all the way trash. If I was a single person out in a single person marketplace, I would rather date. That sounds like a good show idea. Places to meet quality people, like by regions, right? So you got the South versus the Mid-Atlantic versus the Midwest versus the West Coast. So we're going to pin this thought because I think that we should do a live stream debating about the different relationship marketplaces in the U.S.
So I'm gonna do something because you have I can tell you trimmed up, and there are just some little fine hairs that were just hanging out.
Okay. Sorry. All right. Look,
my OCD.
If there's a like button on the platform that you're watching this on, hit that like button. Now, Michelle.
Okay, hold on, because I'm sliding out the chair.
Okay, my bad.
Trying to get my life together.
Blame
it's not
me.
you. It's not you.
Blame me.
Okay, it's all your fault.
Thank you. I'm going to ask you a question. This is based on what somebody posted, and I want to get your unfiltered thoughts on it. So this was a man, a father, and he is married. Okay. So this person writes, I suck at planning and packing, and my wife is frustrated with me. We came from our vacation 2 weeks ago, and now we can't find our 5-year-old's inhaler and spacer. I don't know what a spacer is, but
maybe for braces. I don't know.
An inhaler. All right. The wife wasn't feeling well on our last day of the trip, so I offered to handle all the packing and organizing. Remember, he started this off by saying, I suck at planning and packing. He finished it up with, she called me from work, rightfully mad at me. I feel like I can't be trusted, and it's mistakes after mistakes, and it's my fault. I'm frustrated with myself. Tell me your unfiltered thoughts when you hear a man write this online, and what do you think about the situation in general?
All right, I'm going to be honest. So I heard it, and the first thing I thought was, unless I'm on my deathbed, I'm going to still pack. Because that's just how bad my OCD is. Unless I am literally knocking on that door, I'm going to still pack. I'm going to still pack. And it's nothing against you, but it will let me feel better if I know that I've packed it.
Okay.
But when I hear him say that, I'm like, why are you beating yourself up like that? Taking that joke out of it. Why are you beating yourself up so badly because you forgot something? You forgot something, and unless money is a real stretch, get another inhaler. Whatever the space, that type of stuff can be replaced. Is it going to be costly? Probably, yes. But it's things, it's not people, right? It's not something that's invaluable. So a family heirloom or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's replaceable.
Here's my take on it, and I have a couple of different things. Thing number one, just came back from a vacation, all right? And I want to say he said a 2-week vacation. So
no, he's been back for 2 weeks.
Back for 2 weeks, okay. But still, they were on vacation, meaning vacation there can be elements of stress in a vacation.
Always, especially if you got kids.
Yes. Now, there shouldn't be. The preferred method of vacationing is no stress, but there can be stressful things that can occur. Now, you can prevent a lot of that stuff with proper planning and communication, right? So to have to come back off of vacation, and while you're at your job, have your significant other calling you mad and angry, flag on the play, timeout. That should not happen. And anybody that tolerates that, you're wrong. The immediate thing that you should have done was to say, hey, babe, I hear that you're upset. Right now is not the time. We could talk about this when I get home. And if she doesn't immediately say okay, or she tries to say anything else, hang up on them. I don't like hanging up on people. I think it's disrespectful. But if you're not going to respect the situation by calling me at my job angry because you can't find something, no, click. And don't even try and call me back. That's a calm yourself down and we finish this at home situation. Don't call my job angry because of something.
And see, I hear what you're saying, and while I don't disagree with you, I look back at the why. Why is he beating himself up so badly about this? Like, he's not even saying that, like, hey, while what she did was disrespectful and like it shouldn't have happened, she is right. Like, I shouldn't have done this or whatever. No, like, he just jumped straight to the beating himself up. And that part, I ask, what happened to you previously in the marriage or in previous relationships or in your lifetime, why you see a situation and the first thing that you're going to do is completely beat yourself up about what happened in that situation.
Bingo. Like, I applaud the man for speaking on the situation in a group that is meant for men to ask for advice, seek for advice, and help each other out. I applaud him for that. Mm-hmm. Too often you hear that men don't communicate what's going on because they're afraid of how other men are going to look at them. I say, so I did write the person, and exactly what I just said on air was what I said. I said, A, do not tolerate her doing that. Mm-hmm. And sit down and communicate that with her. And if she's not willing to do that, you might need to find a whole new wife. Because the more that gets tolerated, the bigger a wedge in that marriage or that union that is going to occur, that eventually one of them are going to say, I'm done with this. Mm-hmm. Or let's say his wife starts being less feminine to him. He's working, he's doing his thing, he's providing on a vacation, but then she finds something to complain about that just ruins the whole mood, right? And I'm going to tell you right now, especially if you're sitting there, you working hard, you got this vacation, you plan it, you do it, you execute it, and then you come back just to get 2 weeks later. No, that is not happening. If he doesn't stop that now, what's going to happen over time, some feminine person is going to come to him and be like, hey, Marcus, how you doing, Marcus? Oh, your wife's not talking to you right today. That's so sad. Look, you know what? You and I should go to lunch. And she's going to hit him with that feminine. And then he's going to see somebody that's treating him the way he wants to be treated because he's not getting it at home. Now, I'm not absolving him
all the way deep.
That's how it gets there, though. Now, I'm not absolving him. He could be to admonish this man for that. And I get that it could be critical, right? You're talking about an inhaler for your child.
But if you don't notice for 2 weeks, it can't be that important.
There's that too. So to admonish him for that, like, have we done our episode where we talked about what if they have 7 out of the 10 things, or was that the episode that didn't get published?
That was the episode that didn't get published.
That was the episode? I swore that was live.
No, because we were going to talk about
the title, yeah.
We changed the title because it was something that was covered in the episode that is now since been deleted and lost.
The way I look at it is that with both ways, right? If you are doing 8 out of the 10 things, I should not be tripping about the 2 things that aren't going smoothly unless they're major things, right? Which you know that for me, I don't tolerate disrespect. So if things are going good, but then you show up with some disrespect, you showing up with a problem for me. That's how I look at it. So to that man, you have some work to do. with yourself, because I can tell with your mindset how you wanted to beat yourself up. You shouldn't do that. Okay. So first of all, change your mindset. And number two, and you need to do this now. You need to take your kid. He didn't say if he had other kids or whatever. Have them go with a babysitter, with somebody else. You and your wife need to talk, and you will state what you are not going to tolerate anymore. She should not have called your job angry about not being able to find the inhaler. That's unacceptable.
Okay.
All right. Now, the Wastelands of Dating.
Wait, you brought up a question.
Oh, so here's our question for Let's Get Deep Couples Edition. We pulled out one question and it reads as follows.
Have you ever had a near-death experience?
Oh, yes. My near-death experiences came from my time in the military. I was an enlisted aviator. I was an in-flight refueler. And one time, another airplane almost flew into the back of us. Another time was almost flew into a mountain.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
To hear the words terrain, pull up, terrain, pull up in your headset is the scariest thing that an aviator can hear when flying. So those are two of my easiest near-death experiences that made me go Hail Mary full of grace. What about you?
Does being from Baltimore count?
Absolutely.
I'm from Baltimore.
You survived Baltimore.
I survived Baltimore. There we go. But no, other than that.
None of your car accidents didn't make you go, this might be it?
All my car accidents were rear-end collisions.
Okay.
Where people rear-ended me.
No doubt. Never almost drove off the side of a cliff?
I don't drive on cliffs.
Okay. Well, that answers that. There's one other thing that I want to bring up, and this is actually going to come into what our topic is and stuff as well. So, two things to kind of give a preview to the people out there. You had me watch The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives.
Ooh, child, that show. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Wow. So initially you just said, just watch episode 1 of season 1 and then give me your thoughts. And I had a laundry list of things that I wanted to bring up. Oh my gosh,
she came back, y'all, with like this whole written list, like reading off bam, bam, bam of your thoughts of that episode. Okay.
So we're going to bring that up throughout this show. And the other thing that I want to bring up is a conversation that I had with somebody, and I won't call this person's name out, but I do want to say this out loud so that there is no miscommunications about how my thoughts are on this. So I was having a conversation with someone, and I asked her, I said, hey, does your man know that you're out right now with me? Essentially, just like that. And she said, no. That man crazy. Now, again, the person might be watching this, but I want to make sure that I say this on camera. You have to understand that if that's the relationship that you want to be in, you have to accept what type of time that person is on. Also, in the future, for something like that, do not agree to meet with anybody if you know that your significant other, no matter what the status is, right? Husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, fiance, man, boo thing, whatever. If you know that they're not going to be okay with it, you should not agree to meet somebody. Plain and simple. And the reason for that literally is respect of the other person's safety, right? Let's say on the extreme end of this, me and somebody agree to meet. I'm thinking everything's cool, fine, and dandy. They got a crazy person that they're attached to or in a relationship with, but they didn't let that person know that they were going to meet somebody. And what they see between two people just laughing, sharing jokes, having a good time or whatever, they misinterpret that for, oh, they flirting, they going together. And on the extreme end of this, the person pulls out the gat and starts skitty popping everybody. Right?
Yeah.
That's the extreme version for that type of situation, but it's also not uncommon. You should not put somebody else in a position that can occur. So I want to say to the person who might be watching this, again, I'm not calling you out by name. I'm not highlighting you specifically, so you don't need to comment in the comment section, but you cannot do that. And it also goes against what Michelle and I talk about on the live stream. You should be hot with somebody, honest, open, and transparent. Shout out to the real precious about what it is that you're doing. You should be hot about the things that you're trying to pursue. I say several times to some of my people, I know Michelle ain't gonna like this because I know she's not gonna like it. But I would still rather share something with her and have her voice her thoughts and displeasures than to keep it from her and then have her feel betrayed by it. You can't really establish a good relationship that way. Not a healthy one anyway. Those are my thoughts. What say you?
I feel like I'm never the type of person who believes in hiding something. I'm probably overly transparent, so I don't do that. But secondly, I would never be in a relationship with someone like that. I've seen how that can go left real fast.
Mm-hmm. Because it speaks to jealousy. I told you when we first got to know each other, I cannot be in a relationship with somebody that is jealous. I did it once, never again. I don't like people questioning what I do at all. Why you with this person? Why did you go here? What's that all about? I'm not doing it, babe. I'm not doing it.
But to be fair, there's a difference between questioning because you're jealous and questioning because you're trying to help somebody better plan out their life and their time.
I agree with that.
Because I ask questions because I'm trying to better help you plan out your life and your
yes,
time.
And I agree with that. You don't ask questions because you're trying to control what it is that I'm doing or things like that. You ask questions to look out for me. I can clearly discern that. I'm not even going to call it a relationship. I was blinded by other things and chose to ignore red flags that I saw, which was a lesson learned, right? I actually, side note, I saw this TikTok of somebody that was, he was in the army and he was trying to meet someone that he saw on a dating site. And he ended up meeting her under the pretenses of trying to get services from her. I guess she was an esthetician or something, and she did teeth whitening. So he said something about looking to meet her, had this long introduction, which rule number whatever. Do not do a long introduction on anybody's dating site when you're meeting. It should just be, hey, my name is so-and-so, saw your profile, what's up? Anyway, the guy has his long intro, says that he's willing to meet her and get services from her. Mm-hmm. And if she decides to think that he's cute or whatever, they could go from there. That's how he worded it. Her first line back to him, I'm short on my rent by $2,000, but she put 200 and a dollar sign at the end. He writes back and was like, oh, I think I might be getting scammed or whatever. And then I guess did some additional recon and found out that, oh no, this is actually a real person. He saw her profile on TikTok and Instagram and something else. He also stated, he said, hey, your phone number is on your profile. You probably shouldn't do that. But, maybe you do that to meet people, whatever. Cool. So she agrees to do the teeth whitening thing. And when the man shows up, she's like got this attitude with him. And he shows up in his military uniform, which he admitted that he was doing that to, show that he was a man in uniform and all this and that. But she gave him a little bit of stank eye about being late. And his reason for being late was for parking because she was at a downtown area, whatever. So he's like, you know what? Yeah, I'm not going to deal with this. I see she's crazy. He does an about face and walks out, goes to his car, goes to a nice little Range Rover, right? And she starts filming him, and she's trying to put him on blast. She puts all of this stuff on TikTok. She called him an ugly effing all this stuff or whatever. And he goes and he gives his side of the story. People immediately on her page start calling her crazy and yo, he dodged one and all this and that without him having to explain anything. It was obvious. And I just found it interesting that he said in the end he chose to ignore all the red flags. Her first line being, I'm short in rent. Okay, I don't care about your rent. You might. That's not why I'm reaching out to you. So him, like me, chose to ignore some red flags, found himself with somebody crazy, and had to learn the hard way. I think people tend to do that and learn the hard way. And sometimes you just have to. We have these live streams where we try to showcase what not to do or what to look out for, but sometimes you just got to bump yourself upside the head and learn the hard way. Have you ever ignored red flags and it came back to bite you in the butt?
Sure has. The person follows me on TikTok now and will randomly send me a message, even though like now he's blocked, so I don't get them, but would randomly send me a message. Like I remember after I had my foot surgery earlier this year, he sent me a message and was like, I hope you're recovering well or something like that. And I'm like, all of my stuff is public, but still ill. Like, why are you looking at my content and stuff like that? Like, why are you still reaching out to me nearly 2 years later from when I realized that your behind was crazy and I walked away?
What were the red flags that made you go, yeah, nope, I'm out?
Number one, he was 21. He's 21 years older than me,
Okay.
right? So I was talking to someone older, and there was some, like, he was attractive. When I met him, and I'm telling you, it's not about the car that he drives, but the car that he drives matters to the story. So when I met him, he was getting out of a blue BMW, like newer BMW, clean, like the car was clean, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was going somewhere. We were in a district that is an affluent area. So he was going somewhere, didn't know where he was going. I found out shortly after that he was a manager at the particular restaurant where I was going. Again, I'm not one who cares about money, but the car matters. So we exchange numbers, we start hanging out, all that other stuff. And then I find out that he had just gotten out of a relationship with a woman. Don't remember how long they had been together, but he had just gotten out of a relationship with a woman and they were living together. And because they broke up, he moved in with his nephew.
Okay.
Again, money's coming into this, but not necessarily. So he moved in with his nephew. And when I went to see the house where he lived with his nephew, like the whole house was in repair. Like everything looked like it was being repaired. And he stayed in like one little corner of a room that was at the front of the house.
Mm-hmm.
All of this matters. So within the probably 2 or 3 weeks of me talking to him, that BMW, for whatever reason, he wasn't driving it anymore. And now he's driving a car, a Tesla that was like rented from somewhere. Like, I don't know if it's like Uber or something where like you can rent vehicles or something, or maybe he was doing whatever that thing is where you like rent cars or whatever. So there was that situation where a whole nother car comes into play. And I'm like, but I don't understand what happened to the BMW. And then he's telling me, he called me late one night and said that his nephew was in some shady stuff and the house had gotten like shot up or something like that. And by this time, I'm not believing him. So I'm on Google trying to find like where this has happened in the neighborhood.
Okay.
And I'm sitting there, I'm just like, bro, I don't understand what is wrong with you. And one thing I remember distinctly, like when I first got his name, because when he introduced himself, he gave me his full name and I had his birthday. So I did an MD court case search on him.
We advise people do that.
I did the court case search, but my issue was I had put in his full name, first, middle, and last. And because I put in first, middle, and last, I found some things, but not everything. And when I had mentioned to him that I did this, he was like, "Well, why'd you go and do that? Like, we could have talked about it and that type of stuff. Like, I don't want you judging me on like my past and everything like that." And I'm guessing he's thinking that because he thought I saw everything, but I only saw a condensed list because I had put the middle name. So later on, after that conversation, when I had completely walked away, I took out the middle name and did a search, and I saw everything, and I was like, "Oh, that's why he didn't want me to look him up."
Why did you tell him you looked him up? Why did you reveal your hand? Why did you?
Because it's not a secret. MD court cases.
Flink.
MD court cases. Like, I need you to know, I've already looked you up. I've already shared your information because I didn't go on dates with anyone without sharing with my best friends who I was going out with.
Another
their
thing that we advise to do.
So their name, their information, and what I found on MD court case. So for me, it's not a secret. Like, I'm going to tell you your information, especially if you were a resident in the state of Maryland, is public and anyone can access it at any time. And I just did. It's no secret.
Yeah. So you said some nuggets in there. Besides choosing not to ignore some of the red flags, do a background search on whoever it is that you're looking at spending time with. If you're just out here just trying to have fun, I would still say do a background search on somebody because you don't know the level of crazy that you could be dealing with. I've shared on my platform, I don't know if I've done it on the King M.E, about how I had to change my whole number for somebody that I barely gave a hug to because she wanted more and I didn't.
He hit me up several other times. And after that, what, 3 week, 1 month period? Because I forgot to mention, in the middle, he ghosted me. He went straight ghost. And I don't care, understand, I don't care that he ghosted me. I'm not sitting here crying and whatever that he ghosted me. But what I found funny about the ghosting is I went on about my life, was fine because it had only been a week after I had met him or whatever.
Okay.
He ghosted me, went on about my life, all is well on my part. And then what did I do? Did I go back to that restaurant or something? I think I went back to the restaurant because it's a middle point between where we live and Baltimore. So I'd meet up my friends at that particular restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not for him, but because I really like the food. So it's that midpoint. And something happened, and he called me back or texted me back or something like that. And he's like, "I hadn't heard from you." And I'm like, "My dude, you didn't text me. What are you talking about?" I don't I'm not one of those women who sits and continuously has a conversation with someone who's not responding to me. If I text you once and you don't text me back, unless we have a deep friendship, I'm not going to continue reaching out to you.
You should not.
Done.
You need to respect your time. Never.
No, but understand, it's once. It's just one text. If I text you once and you don't respond and we don't have a 23-year friendship history going, no, I'm not texting again. That's it. I will delete your number and pretend you never existed.
I'm in the same boat.
I'm just that quick to move on. So when he hit me with that, I was just like, "Oh, this man is special."
I went out on a date with somebody that I thought was a great date. I went to go set up a second date, right? Lead, be the man, state my intentions and what I wanted to do. Didn't hear back from her. So I was like, all right, whatever. It is what it is. Saw the person out on another date, right? So I'm like, oh, okay. She moved on. Whatever. It's all good. She tried to hit me back up for, something else. And I said, oh, are you paying? She goes, why would I do that? And I'm like, block. I never even responded to that. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But I believe from what I saw, she was just using me to go out and just do things, which, pause, time out. I like going out and doing things. I don't mind sharing experiences with somebody and covering that as well. If it's genuine, I will sure enough go do it by myself. But if it's a genuine thing, I don't mind covering it with anybody, but it's feeling like I'm being used that I have a problem with. And with that particular person, I saw it right then and there that they were just simply, when that person reached out to me, afterwards without even acknowledging the me trying to set something up from the last time. I'm just like, yep, no, blocked. On to the next.
So all of that pertains to polluting the dating market because that was like craziness, right? So that show that I had you watch, Secret Lives of Mormon Wives.
Yes. Crazy.
Like any of those reality shows based on like marriage and whatever, that show, for me, I'm just sitting there and I'm like, so if you don't understand the premise of it, it's this group of like 8 women who are Mormons or members of LDS, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and they are living out in Salt Lake City, Utah, and they decided to start this thing called Mom Talk. So hashtag MOMTOK. And it came out that Mom Talk had been involved with all of this swinging back and forth, lottie-dottie, and everybody was getting up in there, and like it just ballooned out, and like this whole thing became of it. So now they have their own show, and they're talking about it. And in this 8-episode thing, because at first I was just going to watch the first episode and have King watch it, and then the two of us talk about it. But then I actually like watched the other episodes, and when I tell you that show, first of all, my first thought when I saw this was, and people had the nerve to talk about people of color who get on shows like Real Housewives of whatever and whatever, because they are just as messy, if not more messy, because they're doing it under the cloak of religion, and they are just as messy as like all the other reality TV shows out there.
100%. I was sitting here like, one of my thoughts was, wow, if somebody of color is doing this, there's more scrutiny that gets put to it, whereas they just go, hi, I'm blonde and I slept with so-and-so and I was married to so-and-so and we're just out here swinging and da-da-da-da-da. And it's like, okay, that's it.
Yeah, like no consequences.
No consequences, right? And even, oh my goodness. All right, so I don't know much about Mormons, but to me, Mormons are full of crap. The stuff that they allow and things that they get away with, Mormons, fight me. It's wrong to sit here and say that I want to be in this covenant, but we're going to open this thing up and everybody knows about it and it's accepted. And then you go and do whatever it is that Mormons do like the very next day in the pulpit. Something about that bothers me.
Well, in the Mormon faith, polygamy is not a thing. It's not an issue if the man does it. So it's okay for a Mormon man to have more than one wife. Like it's acceptable. Age gap relationships are also acceptable. Marrying a girl when she's like 16, 17 is also acceptable in the Mormon faith, because that whole part about be fruitful and multiply is a real thing for them.
Okay. Pause.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I should learn more about Mormons.
For what?
I'm just saying. I think maybe I just need to be educated. Maybe I'm ignorant on Mormon life. And I need to be educated on what they talking about.
You good. Because ain't none of them with the Jamaicans, so it's different.
Also, are there black Mormons?
Like, well, there was one. There was a black one on that show.
She ain't black.
She black.
She ain't black.
One drop rule.
She ain't black.
One drop rule.
I've never seen a black Mormon in
There's
real life.
Okay, not in real life, but in real life, have you ever met a Mormon?
Yes.
Okay. Other than the ones that I was about to say, other than the ones that knock on our door.
Nope, I knew one in the military. He's the first person I heard use the word harlot, and I was like,
I remember that story.
What? Mm-hmm. Harlot? He had never met a black person until military basic training.
Mm.
How wild is that? I grew up very diverse because my dad was in the military. So I saw a lot of diversity. And to hear somebody who graduated high school 18, 19 years old, and the first time you see a person of color is coming off the airplane. So think about this, the airplane ride over, he didn't see a black person. The airport he flew out of, he didn't see a black person. But arriving in San Antonio is when he saw his first person of color. That's crazy. But yes, he used the word harlot. And I'm like, wait, what time period are you from? Because nobody uses the word harlot.
Well, he from the Bible era, because that's where harlot is. And Jezebel.
What else stood out about the show?
I think the other thing to me that stood out about the show is I'm always very leery of things that are presented with Christian undertones. No, let me take that back. With religious undertones, and then they're just as messy and as sloppy as secular shows.
Okay.
And I think that's like a really big thing for me. And it's not to say that like we are perfect in, we don't make mistakes or anything like that in Christianity, because I also think that that's very, very dangerous to say. However, I think you paint an entire sector of religion one way when you get out and do some things. And that's something that I don't agree with. So, like, there are probably plenty of people who are watching that show now thinking, oh, all Mormons are like that because, this is what I know. And have you ever been to BYU and everything like that? Like, there's all this, like, it's probably all this negative connotation that's coming along with that show, putting Mormonism in like this bad light. And now it's going to be, well, I'm going to go to Utah just to see what's happening. Like, I want to go there and maybe I can go swinging with like this couple or whatever. Like all of that thought pattern that comes in. And I don't like the negative light that it paints religion.
I knew a guy who went to Brigham Young and he finished and got his degree, but he still chose to enlist, which is like, it's rare to do that. Typically, you go on the officer track if you did earn your college degree. But this guy came in and enlisted, and he used to talk about the wild orgy parties that went down at BYU. And I'm like, wait, what?
Right. Like, and so then that's the other thing. Like, I remember when you and I first started dating, because religion is not your thing. You like many other men before, you were like, are you sure you don't want to go after like that good Christian guy? And I'm like,
you talked about having God send you a good God-fearing man.
Well, so that's different. And the reason why I say that that's different is because not you, but like an ex before you said that I should be like, can I find someone in the church and, something like that? Like, I would best be fitted with someone who is in the church and all this other stuff. And I'm like, y'all don't know how messy church people are. Like,
ooh, do tell.
Church people are the messiest. Like, I'm from Baltimore. I dated someone who played the drums, who literally like wanted to do more than play the drums with me. Like, they're
Oh yeah, drum players are
exactly musicians in
musicians in
Black
general.
churches are
Yeah.
notorious for that behavior. Like, there's such a reputation that comes along with that type of stuff. And I'm like, I'm not interested in falling in line with any of that in any way, shape, or form. So I'd rather meet someone who is outside of the church than someone who is.
I'm going to say this way. For me, I always say it's about your values, right?
Right.
Your values, what you say you're going to do, and your actions that go along with it. I've always thought it was weird that somebody like Taylor from The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives can go out, get drunk, hit people, jump from one Johnson to another, and then say something like, well, I don't want to be judged if I show up back in, the church the next day or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, What type of a person are you, or what are you practicing that allows you to be able to do that, and then go, yeah, I'm just going to show up in church the next day. Your actions aren't aligning with the values that you seek to support. I don't get that. Also, I talked about with Taylor, somebody like her, for our relationship to be solid. If you had a Taylor in your life, I'm making you choose. You can choose your Taylor, your friend, somebody that you grew up with, was your ride or die, things like that. Taylor in this show is just, I don't like the word toxic, but Taylor is the definition of toxic. Toxic behavior, always doing things, blaming other people and stuff like that. And I think having somebody like that in your life brings you down, and it can lead to you compromising yourself and your values, and it can hurt whatever relationships that you might have, not just romantic ones, but familial or any relationships. So I told Michelle, I said, look, I'm not one to control her. I am not controlling anybody. However, she would have to make a choice. If she had a Taylor in her life, I would say, if you want to keep your relationship with your Taylor, do that. This relationship can't work. And if Michelle would want to keep that relationship with Taylor, then this relationship would be done. That is a very clear thing that I would have to set for our relationship to be able to thrive. If you couldn't choose, I would choose not choose for you. Then I would say that you don't want this relationship. Yes, babe.
What if you had a Taylor in your life and I made you choose?
Be logical about it. If you're laying out who my Taylor is, and you can speak logic to it, and you use the words that I use, like this person is compromising, and it can be validated. That's the thing. It has to be validated. You can't just throw assumptions out because you don't like somebody. It has to be validated. If you can validate that, and you say to me, babe, I don't believe that you should continue a relationship with this person because that person could compromise you. Again, it ain't that they would or will, it's could. There's a high probability of that. Then I'm gonna have to take a look at that relationship, see if what you're saying is valid, and choose to go, you know what, male Taylor, you gotta bounce.
So you notice how with you there were that extra step, like you have to confirm that what I'd be saying to you is valid, and then you'd have to make that decision. It wasn't the same way when you presented it to me.
I didn't state it, but it was implied in that. Like you would have to make that determination yourself. Because again, I was saying it, I'm not making it for you. I'm presenting it so that you know where I stand, but you have to make that decision. I would have to do the same thing. I would hear what you're presenting to me, analyze what's going on, and make the determination for what I want.
So every man in America would probably say that if you set those parameters for a woman, like you notice that she has someone toxic in her life, and you're essentially giving her an ultimatum.
It is an ultimatum. It is an ultimatum.
You're giving her that ultimatum. Many men will be like, that's a good thing. But then I turn and say, but if a woman can legitimately peep that out and discern that there is someone in your life who is toxic, and she tells you that, and she does the same thing, like it comes off more from the male perspective that that woman is being audacious.
And more often than not, it's an emotional reason, not a logical reason.
What if it's not? Like, what if it's completely fact driven?
It can be a fact driven thing, and I believe that a man can discern if their lady is coming at them with something that's more fact driven. It's obvious when you're coming on some emotional stuff, and you're like, calm down, it ain't that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I believe that more men can sit there and go, and here's something that is a logic based question or thing than something that's more of an emotional based thing. If it's more of an emotional based thing, we're going to see that and not give it the same respect. That's my take on it anyway. I can think of plenty of instances in the past of things that was easily an emotional thing. And when something came back that was a logic based thing, I'm like, huh. And I was swayed to be able to listen because it was given with reason and not emotion.
Okay.
In my opinion, I think most men that do sit in that reason and logic can make that discernment. If you're hitting your guy with nothing but emotional stuff all of the time, he's just going, she's just being emotional. Whatever. Shout out to Pete. Pete is in the building, the Spartan HQ himself. Did you know that he changed his name from Grooming and Reviews?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, he ended up doing it a while back, and I think it's better for his brand and what he has does. He had a sidebar. He had a good conversation about the strength of the dollar versus the euro the other day that him and Paul had, and I thought that it was actually pretty good. It was a well-informed discussion, and I want to say give him a shout out for doing that and highlight that as well. I gotta stop hitting this table so that the camera doesn't shake. So yeah,
You over there breaking stuff, babe?
you use the word ultimatum. I had to laugh. I don't do well with ultimatums.
Yet you give them.
But I give them.
Oh yeah.
But I give them from a place of I know what works and what doesn't work for me.
But here's the thing: every ultimatum is selfish. It comes from a self-satisfying, self-gratifying point of view. Every ultimatum does.
I agree.
Every single ultimatum comes from this is going to benefit me in this particular way, and hopefully it benefits you as well. Mm-hmm. Yep. 100%.
No, I was rocking with you until that very end.
Okay, so then how? Because it is your hope that, like, you tell a woman she has a Taylor in her life, she needs to let go of that toxic friend. There is that slight hope that she's going to choose you, right?
But if she don't,
but
train going that way.
But if she does choose you, then it'll benefit you, and then hopefully it'll benefit her too. Like,
no, it will benefit her. If I'm making that decision, I'm telling you, ride this train. It will benefit you.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, every ultimatum comes from a selfish point of view where it's definitely going to benefit the person who's saying something,
no doubt,
and hopefully benefit the person who's making the ultimatum.
Okay, yeah, I agree with that. Sometimes you just got to say stuff differently for me to be able to be like, yeah, I get it. Just saying. Good job. There was something else about this episode that I wanted to cover here, and give me a second to bring it up. While I do, what's on your mind?
Man, I am ready for a break. I am already looking ahead, thinking about summer and the things that I would like to do this summer. Like, I'm ready for this school year.
Do you think that people go chasing and finding the one and miss out on real connections? Do you believe in finding the one? There is the one. Go ahead. Well, what's your thoughts?
I do believe that you can find the one.
Okay.
You want to know why I believe that?
Why do you say that?
Because I found the one.
I'm gonna give you a pimp line for that one.
Ow! But no, like, I really do believe that the one does exist.
I don't.
Obviously. Respectfully, you're divorced. Of course you would say that.
Mm-hmm.
And I do also believe that sometimes because you're so tunnel visioned on that, you miss out on other opportunities that could be the one, but you think the one is dressed up a certain way. And I've said this before, prior to meeting you, I had even told my therapist that I didn't want to date someone who had ever been married or someone who had a child because I wanted to be there first. And, like, I didn't want to deal with ex-wife or baby mama drama or anything like that. Because
Yeah.
I'm from Baltimore, I've seen it. I'm about that life. And if I had stayed tunnel vision on that, I would have missed you. And that was something that my therapist has said even before I even met you, that if I stay focused on that, I'm entitled to my own opinion. You know, I was 35. Totally fine for me to feel that way, but I stood the chance of missing out on something, like on a big blessing. And I was like, okay, you're right, you're right, you're right, you're right. And then shortly after that, I met you.
I got a question for Minister Early.
Oh, goodness.
We talk a lot about the different pillars of a healthy relationship and compatibility, and one of those things is sexual compatibility.
Mm-hmm.
What's your thoughts on having physical relations before marriage?
Okay, well, you ask the minister, and the minister will tell you the Bible says not to do it.
Where in the Bible does it say it? Like, I'm genuinely asking.
It is in the Old Testament, I believe, where it says that you are not supposed to have sex before marriage. I'll find the scripture.
What's the why?
The why is actually, I believe it's probably New Testament, that the marriage bed is not supposed to be defiled, that it's supposed to be between a husband and a wife when two people have decided to commit to be with one another and one another only.
So the reason why I asked that, when we're talking about the wastelands of dating, I'm seeing a lot of people realizing after a while that the person that they said I do to,
Mm-hmm.
that they're ultimately not sexually compatible with that person. So what's the fix for that?
Well, do you want to hear what the church would say about that?
Now I just want what your opinion is. So you can take off the Minister Early hat and just, when you hear that question, what are your thoughts?
Restate the question for me again. I'm sorry.
How do we combat people finding out after the fact that they're not sexually compatible with somebody?
I would then challenge that with how do you know you're not sexually compatible? And to say that, I mean, if both of you are virgins and you have never seen porn or anything like that, oh, sorry, and you've never seen porn or anything like that, and you've never had any type of experiences, you've never gone that far with anyone, then how do you know you're not sexually compatible?
I'm seeing way too often people that 5, 6, 7 year mark. My wife wants to get back out in these streets and explore, and I don't know what to do.
But no, you know what I'm saying? Like, how do you know you're allergic to something unless you tried it and you had a bad reaction to it? So, same thing. How do you know that that you two aren't sexually compatible unless you came in with preconceived notions based on what you've seen other people, like what you've seen on television or read about in a book or heard in other capacities? Then that's how you know that something isn't 100% right. So if you don't encounter any of those things, then you stand a better chance of not thinking that there's something wrong with what you're dealing with.
One of the conversations that I had with somebody in Atlanta was a young lady asking me, she said, "Hey, so in your opinion," she said, "I'm talking to somebody. We've been dating for 6 months. He hasn't pressured me, but I can see that," she's like, "I can tell that he wants to be more physical like that, be more intimate sexually."
Mm-hmm.
She said, "I am not," she said, "I'm not a virgin.
Okay.
However, I don't want a relationship where sex is important."
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, "Well, but it it is a pillar of a relationship." Now, the frequency and the levels and how you define it, that's for you and that person to define it, right? But I said, "Well, let me be clear. Are you struggling?" Because you're telling me that he's not pressuring you. What are you asking? She said, "Well, I'm thinking about bringing that into our relationship, but I don't want it to be something that changes the dynamic of what we have. Because I'm not sure if I want to marry this person or not. She is seeking a husband. She wants to find a husband. So
to that, I would have flat out said, if you don't want to marry him, then why even introduce that? Like, if he's not something if he's not someone you would want to marry, if he's not someone you could see spending the rest of your life with, then why even go down that road? And I say that because STDs are a real thing. Like, people be.
That's what I told her.
I am 38 years old, and if it's one thing that I have learned, God has spared me, and I consider it a blessing. I am very, very thankful. But understand that there are so many different diseases out there, so many different things happening, and why are you out there sleeping with someone or compromising on your values, and you're like, I don't even want to be with that person? Oh, okay.
Interesting.
I'm like, and you don't even want to be with that person. Like, you can't even see yourself with that person a long time. So why do that now? Those short pleasures are just that, short, fleeting pleasures. There are women who have gotten pregnant off of the same day they lost their virginity. Like, it's not worth it. It's not worth it.
Okay.
Them little 15 minutes, if you lucky, not worth it.
That's what I told her. I said, look, that guy's either sitting in two platforms. I said, are y'all exclusive? She said, not yet, but I want it to be exclusive. I said, do you plan on actually vetting this person to be your husband? And she said, I don't know. I said, then no, you aren't ready.
Either you know or you don't know.
Yep. I'm like, I think you're speaking from a lustful standpoint, because I was like, do you get, I'm going to say it how I said it, because I was straight up. I said, do you get wet when you see him? She said, yeah. I said, you're speaking from lust, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I was like, I think you want to have sex with this man. But if you're not sure that you want this man to be your husband, don't do it.
Don't do it. It's not
Don't
worth
do
it.
it. It's not worth it. So that was my advice to her. But it's starting to be crazy to me, because I'm 40, that I'm considered like an OG, sort of. You know, somebody that's like an old head. I can't. I'll tell you the story offline of what just happened this past Sunday. I don't want to say it on air, but it made me go, huh, that's new. I'll tell you offline though.
Okay.
But we are at time.
Yeah.
That time goes by quick.
Mm-hmm.
Want to give a shout out to the people that tuned in. I know we missed last week. We will not miss next week. Next week is going to be the first Monday in October. October is one of my favorite months. There's football, there's basketball. The fall weather typically hits around Maryland.
Our anniversary.
Something like that. What day is that again? How I get you to go from here to here? I got powers. But our anniversary is coming up. Mm-hmm. And we're going to try and make something happen.
We are going to make something happen. It's on the calendar.
It is on the calendar.
And I'm in charge of planning this year.
All right. I'm going to need for you to understand something. We'll talk about that offline too.
Oh, no, you can say it online. You want to talk? Go ahead, say it online.
I made things work out because I'm coming back from an event.
Same.
All right.
That I could have stayed until Sunday.
But. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Anniversaries are really important to you. Why?
Because I like celebrating things.
We can celebrate it the day after.
But that's not our anniversary.
I am going to tell you that I can foresee something happening that it is going to be too much to try to make work. This was borderline too much to try to make work. That's how I feel. Borderline too much to try to make work.
What was too much to make work?
The coming back. The trip coming back.
Then?
Yes. Like I'm missing a whole day essentially.
But that was something all y'all decided on. It wasn't just you.
No.
That's the way you presented it.
I presented it to them asking what they thought because of what you asked. Everybody was on board for the reason because people like you. But I'm not saying for this particular instance. It's just I will try to make it work in the future. But I can tell you that there may be an occasion that it just won't. And I hope you're not disappointed because you think that I'm not trying. No, I am. I've also, this comes from a place of hurt, but not me personally. I've seen what can happen to somebody that does something to try to please the other person, and they lost their life for it. Somebody that
you told me this story.
Yeah, so he was coming from college. His girl said he hadn't seen him in a while. Story. Yeah, so I'm just like, I'm not losing my life trying to make something work out. I understand the importance of celebrating it, and that comes from a place of hurt.
I get it.
But I can say that. I acknowledge that.
Okay.
I still love you.
Love you too.
Now, you was wiping off the hair from my mouth, not for my benefit, but for yours. Because we always end our show the same way. Mm-hmm. And we're going to bid y'all adieu and say tune back in next week when we flip our calendar over. We're still in this temporary studio location as Studio A is being fixed and worked on. Mm-hmm. There, we should be back there here in a couple of weeks. It depends on when the project manager for the studio renovations decides to get things fixed. But we appreciate y'all rocking with us. Thanks for tuning in. If you hadn't hit that like button yet, make sure you hit that like button. And we out. Peace.
Bye.
Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice.